Well, the Omicron variant has largely turned out to be a bust. It hasn't turned into anything Anthony Fauci predicted, and it hasn't been the winter of death and destruction that Joe Biden predicted. Far from it. The Omicron variant is mild. So just when you thought America could finally turn the corner on this pandemic, a new wave is sweeping across the land. Insanity. The unhinged meltdown on a Delta Airlines flight by a former Baywatch actress, Patricia Cromwell, wasn't a reminder of how far we have come during the pandemic. No. It was a sign of what is to come. If the American people tolerate this insanity, fear and neurotic paranoia seem more rampant than ever, even more so than the early days of 2020. And strangely, it comes from those who would ironically say they are the most protected, the thrice vaccinated, the double masked person who also wears a face shield, the deranged lady who wears a mask outside by herself. The vaccine hasn't given these people their freedom. Neither has Omicron. They convinced themselves for months that mask wearing and vaccines would protect them from COVID. And now, confronted with the reality that it will not, they seem even more willing than ever to double down on their crazy behaviors. Some people even broadcast their insanity on national television.
Jason, you see how difficult this is for this administration. I mean, I'm a Fauci groupie. I'm a thrice vaccinated mask adherent. I buy KN95 masks by the, caseload. They're in every pocket. I wear them everywhere except when I sit down. And I am certain that this is not a variant I can outrun.
By the caseload, they're in every pocket. Hypochondriacs are apparently common in the media. Look at this. A CNN reporter, Chris Cillizza, bragged on Twitter that he had bought COVID test as a post-Christmas gift for himself. It appears he's literally hoarding dozens of coronavirus tests during the worst testing shortage of the year. Oprah Winfrey, by the way, shamed her friend, Gayle King, on Facebook for failing to adhere to her extreme COVID rules that she calls, quote, the policy. It's not enough to be triple vaccinated for the Queen's policy. You must test and quarantine before seeing Oprah as well. And so because King did not do that, Oprah proclaimed that King was not invited to her Christmas celebration. Some friend. Our elected officials, meanwhile, have done nothing to curb this insanity. In fact, they've fanned the flames. Here's a sad image of the President of the United States and his wife, Jill Biden, walking alone on Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, with masks on. It's clear they're only obeying their handlers. And according to Joe Biden, he's obeying his medical team, too. Just after Joe Biden told us there was no federal solution to ending the pandemic, he changed his mind to tell us that if his medical team told him to recommend a vaccine mandate for domestic air travel, he would obey his medical team.
Mr. President, when might you make a decision on domestic travel vaccine requirements?
Thanks, guys. Now, of course, the leader of Joe Biden's medical team is His Holiness Anthony Fauci. Fauci realizes he's got approximately 48 hours left to cancel New Year's celebrations. He's doing everything he can, everything in his power, to make sure that happens.
If your plans are to go to a 40 to 50 person New Year's Eve party with all the bells and whistles and everybody hugging and kissing and wishing each other a happy new year, I would strongly recommend that this year we do not do that.
At the center of all of this is the need for liberals to project their own virtue. As author Freddie DeBoer wrote on Substack, being fearful, being the most fearful of COVID, well, it's a virtue signal. Sharing irrational COVID fears is like putting a, quote, Black Lives Matter sign in their window. The reason it'll never end is because they see the pandemic like a war. It gives them meaning to their empty lives. They truly believe wearing a mask will save someone else's life, or that getting the vaccine is like saving their fellow soldier from dying in the trenches. In fact, they're already telling us that. Just today, a Washington Post columnist named James Hohmann endorsed vaccine mandates for air travel because, quote, we're in a global war. After comparing the coronavirus to World War II, Hohmann also wrote that, quote, we need to compel all Americans to join the war effort.